morning, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Mike's MMA Picks Fight Morning Quick Card Breakdown Show, brought to you by BetDSI as well as MMA Oddsbreaker. We're here for UFC Fight Island 4. We've got 11 fights. 6 of these fights are expected to go the distance. At the top of the card, we've got Ayari-Vendramini taking on Holly Holm. Let's burn through this card pretty quickly. So first fight of the night, we've got Justin Ayari taking on Luigi-Vendramini. Vendramini, the Italian stallion with a Brazilian jiu-jitsu background, coming in with an 8-1 record, $8,000 in DraftKings. Haven't seen him inside of the octagon in a couple of years. Taking on Ayari, who's 16-5, has fought some names in Stevie Ray and Darren Till. Coffee is delicious today. 8,200 for Ayari, minus 110. This fight, very, very interesting. One thing you saw in Vendramini's last time out, he took on and was outsized, wasn't necessarily out-muscled against Alessio Zaleski dos Santos. In that fight, was able to find himself in some advantageous positions, almost locked up the rear naked choke. I like what I see in Vendramini here, especially considering he moved to a quality team in Colorado. Ayari, the larger octagon, should help him. He likes to stay in the pocket, use his footwork, and lure folks in while he is landing strikes. Give me Vendramini to win this closely contested affair. Second fight of the night, we've got Kenney-Alateng taking on Casey Kenney. Alateng, 14-7-1 record, Mongolian fighter, has heavy hands, wrestling background, 28 years of age, 7,200 in DK, plus 255 underdog. Then we got Casey Kenney, who is one of my favorite fighters, well-rounded. I love this division. It is stacked, 135-pounders. Kenney, believe it or not, usually undersized in his matchups, coming in here with an inch and a half reach advantage. 9,000 in DK, minus 335 favorite. Has fought the who's who at the 135-pound division. Also fought Ray Borg, Merab Dvalishvili, Manny Bermudez, Brandon Royval. In this spot, I see Casey Kenney having an advantage in almost all facets of the game, perhaps despite strength. That may be the one issue. He could potentially get caught early, but I am going to be all over Casey Kenney here. I think he's a solid fighter. This line originally opened at minus 220-ish. Now it's been bet all the way to minus 335. I like Casey Kenney in this spot. Going to be picking him for the win. Next up, 115-pounders. Women's fight. We've got Loma Lookboonme taking on Jin-Yun-Frey. Jin-Yun-Frey, 9-5 record. 35 years old. It's going to be the more well-rounded fighter here. 7,700 in DK, plus 115 underdog over at BetDSI. Lookboonme, 8,500 in DK, minus 145. She is an active fighter, Thai fighter, 4-2 overall record. We're going to see if her game has been developing. This fight is expected to go to a decision at minus 350. When you watch this fight, I have a hunch that Lookboonme is going to be the more active fighter of the two. She has glaring holes in her ground game. Also, when she does try to take fighters to the ground, she lets them get back up. You see trips in her game, and she's going to look to keep this on the feet. She's also not a big girl. She's taking a 3-inch reach disadvantage in this spot. I just don't think Frey's going to be able to put up the output and that's what it should come down to. But let me take Lookboonme in a very tight contest that could potentially go to a split. I think Lookboonme is just going to edge her out on the volume and be the more aggressive fighter. Next up, we head to the middleweight division where we have a banger here. This between Nasruddin Imavov taking on Jourdain Williams. Imavov, still 24 years of age, looks like a polished fighter out there. 7,500 minus 105. I like how Imavov has the high guard when he fights, defensively sound. Taking on Jourdain Williams, who tough as nails, 9-3 record. Got to see him on the Contender Series a couple of times. 76.5-inch reach for Williams. Going to come in here with about an inch reach advantage. 8,700 in DK, minus 125 at the betting window. 29 years of age for Jourdain Williams. Has a wrestling background. Southpaw. Has a hell of a chin on him. Imavov, patient fighter. Occasionally will drop his hands. I like what I see out of Imavov here. Pinpoint accuracy. Is a sniper out there. The longer this fight goes, I do have concerns about Imavov's gas tank. This fight isn't expected to go to a decision at minus 175. I am going to be picking an underdog here in Imavov. He's got a 5-fight winning streak, and he seems the more polished of the two fighters. I also think volume is going to be, may come into play here, and Williams could potentially be the more high volume fighter, but Imavov is, I believe, going to be landing the more pinpoint accurate strikes, and down the stretch will be taking this one home. Next up, men's 145-pound division. Charles Jourdain taking on Joshua Culibao. Culibao, 8-1 record. Has been in a few camps with Alex Volkanovski. You watch Culibao, he's typically a one-round fighter. 6,900 in DraftKings, plus 340 underdog, 26 years of age. Last time out, took a loss to Jalen Turner. Very, very aggressive fighter. Comes out to bang. Charles Jourdain fought Des Green, Doohoo Choi, Andre Fili. This kid, somehow 24 years of age, accurate striker, gas tank. He's willing to try some low percentage moves, very flashy out there. Jourdain at a reach disadvantage here. Jourdain, I really, really like what I see out of him, despite taking 3 consecutive losses in the UFC. Sorry, no, he did beat Doohoo Choi. Very impressive in that performance. Des Green, that fight, he got stuck under Des Green. I don't think Culibao has the wrestling to pose a significant threat here. Charles Jourdain, lightning quick striker, accurate striker. I think that's going to be the difference maker here. Jourdain, gas tank, accuracy, and movement. Give me Jourdain to win this fight, and I'm picking him to win inside the distance. Next up, we've got vets. We've got Carlos Condit taking on Court McGee. Court McGee, 8,300 in DK, minus 130 at the betting window. Carlos Condit, 7,900 plus 100 underdog. You look at Condit, 5-fight losing streak, lost 8 of his last 10 fights. The wheels have seemingly fallen off for Carlos Condit. He is the better striker in this spot. Although he doesn't have a great gas tank, he's wilted in previous fights. He kind of hits a wall, comes out first minute or two, looks solid, and then just the wheels fall off. Court McGee, grinder, hung in there against Sean Brady. Also, Court McGee lost 8 of his last 13 fights. This I'll be honest, is a toss-up fight in my eyes. I am leaning with the dog here. I think Carlos Condit, you listen to his interviews, frustrated, looks good on the scale, seems like he's had a solid camp, whereas Court McGee hasn't done much to prepare for this fight, but it might not take much to send Carlos Condit home for the 6th consecutive time. I will be picking Carlos Condit though in this spot. I think he just has he has the skills. He could get grinded out though. That's a real possibility. I would stay away from this fight from a betting perspective, but I'll be picking Carlos Condit here. Next up, men's 185-pound division, where we have Dusko Todorovic, 9,100 in DK, one of your higher priced fighters, taking on Daquan Townsend. Daquan Townsend, 21-11 record. Somehow he's amassed 21 victories. 5-inch reach advantage in this spot for Townsend, 7,100 in DK. 6'3". So Todorovic, you watch his fights, very flashy, 26-year-old Serbian fighter. Has a win over Michel Pereira's. Michel Pereira. You watch Todorovic in that fight, some sketchy moments there where he's got his hands down, backing away, pulling away from strikes, looking to show a semblance of striking defense. In this spot, Townsend doesn't pose much of a threat, so this isn't a spot to totally fade Todorovic here. Todorovic, you watch his Contender Series fight. I was concerned there. The later the fight went, he was extended. He showed some weaknesses out there, especially on the feet. I've seen a few of his fights where the striking defense is. There are some question marks there. I don't think Townsend's going to be the one to make him pay, so I will be picking Todorovic here. But if he's able to shore up that defensive side of his game, then he's got a very bright future. But this is a kid who could potentially get caught at some point shortly. Next up, men's 135-pounders, my favorite division out there besides flyweight. We've got Cameron-Else taking on Kyler Phillips. Cameron-Else, 29 years of age. This guy's a former elite paratrooper, coming in on very short notice, 10-4 record, lots of finishes. Taking on Kyler Phillips, 7-1, fighting out of the MMA lab. This guy is out there. If you listen to his interviews, 9,200 in DK. You're going to want a part of this fight. Minus 485 in DraftKings. 25 years of age. Kyler Phillips is like a Tasmanian devil when he fights. He does not stop, has one hell of a motor, and he will go to the end. Same can be said for Else. These two are going to scrap. This fight's not expected to go to a decision at minus 255. I will say this. Else has he has the mentality that you want to see in a fighter. This guy describes himself as unbreakable. He has been broken inside of the octagon, but he's going to come out there and he's going to try to take Phillips out. He's going to walk straight into the center of the octagon, and these two are going to scrap. Else has some submissions on his resume, can also throw hands, but defensively leaves a lot to be desired. Phillips has a legitimate ground game, and I think that's where he is going to get this done. I'm going to be picking Phillips by submission in this spot. Next up, we have Randamie taking on Juliana-Pena. Oh, I attended one of the worst main events in the history of the UFC, Holly Holm against Randamie a few years ago. And thank goodness she's not in a co-main event. She's not in a main event in this spot. Taking out Pena here, who's coming in at 7,600 plus 120. This line has flopped around here. Could have been a potentially a nice ARB opportunity if that's your style. 9-3 record for Pena. Not the most active fighter. Same can be said for de Randamie, but de Randamie, if you watch recently, she's been more active. This fight could play out two ways. Who's going to implement their game first and be more effective? De Randamie is more dominant in her world, the striking world. De Randamie coming in at 8,600, minus 150 favorite. In this spot, if de Randamie gets shut down, she's not going to be putting up those DraftKings points that you're looking for. Pena's going to come in, try to get takedowns. Striking, she can't compete with de Randamie. It's cut and dry, this fight. If Pena can't get her grappling going, she's going to get lit up. If she can get her grappling going and land takedowns, she could potentially hold de Randamie down for significant stretches of time here. De Randamie is actually getting up there now, 36 years of age. I'll be picking de Randamie here in this spot, though somebody's going to look dominant in this fight. It's either going to be Pena or de Randamie. I'll be picking de Randamie. Next up, co-main event of the evening. It's kind of sickens me to say this, that this is the co-main event of the evening, but we've got Carlos Felipe taking on Yorgan-De Castro. Yorgan-De Castro coming in as the minus 245 favorite, 8,900 in DraftKings. Still 32 years of age. De Castro looks like he could be fighting at middleweight, packing on a lot of extra pounds. But then you look at the other side of the fight, Felipe, also a big boy, 6 foot, tipping the scales. The bellies were out yesterday at weigh-ins. 25 years of age for Felipe. No submission victories on his resume. He's going to come in here looking to bang. You watched him, he was outworked, outmuscled, and outstruck by Sergey Spivak in short notice last time out. Felipe, junkyard dog out there. He could potentially be live in this spot. I want to see De Castro start landing those stinging leg kicks. De Castro, if you look at his that Contender Series fight, we're looking at somebody who was a plus 550 underdog. So he's been counted out before. De Castro hopefully learned a lesson from that Hardy fight. I know he hurt his ankle there. Give me De Castro to win this fight inside the distance. I think he's just the more polished striker, and that's what it's going to come down to here. This fight's not expected to go to a decision at minus 270. Main event of the evening. Let's cut to the chase, my friends. Let's knock this one out of the park here. We have Holly Holm taking on Ayari-Vendramini. Aldana 12-5 record, 7,800 in DraftKings, minus 105 at the betting window. This is a very tightly lined fight here. You got Holly Holm 8,400, minus 125 favorite. I don't know how this one ended up as the main event of the evening. You've got Holm, 38 years old. Very tight reach advantage here. Only, look at this, half-inch reach advantage for Holly Holm. You watched their previous fights. Both have faced a mutual opponent in Raquel Pennington and Betch Correia. Both of them did not look good. You even watched the Holly Holm fight against Correia. She wasn't doing much until that head kick landed. In this fight, Aldana, the younger fighter, more spry in this case. Holm fighting out of a solid camp. She has the grappling in her back pocket, and she's shown to have solid cardio. Hasn't been an issue for Holm. I wonder if she's going to start to crack in this spot. Aldana does like to put on pressure, and as the fight stretches out, she could potentially pour on volume not the most accurate striker here. Holm going to be looking to get in, get out. Looks very stiff out there. This is a very, very tough fight to call. I would stay away from this one from a betting perspective, but I'll be picking the underdog here, the younger underdog who has more to fight for. To me, I wonder, Holly Holm, she's had so many opportunities. She's come up short so many times. We've all seen the win over Rousey, but she's a competitor in her personal life. I know she's run into some tough times over the past few years, so maybe fighting is her whole life, and that could be the thing that is keeping her in this fight game. I think Aldana is going to come out here and potentially take home a split decision victory. So give me Irene Aldana to win. And thank everybody for tuning in here. We banged through the 11 fights on this card. You can follow me on Twitter at MikesMMAPicks. I want to thank everybody over at MMA Oddsbreaker for hosting the podcast. Go get what's yours, my friends. Have a great Saturday, and we'll catch up soon. Take it easy. Go get what's yours.